hell we're calling it these days. What we're calling right now, though, is week 0 or week 1 of the college football season. Not too many spicy, sexy games on the docket this weekend. I think the best we can do is some mashed potatoes over in Ireland with Notre Dame facing off against Navy, but that's not really exciting to me. Pigskin Petey, the one that really has me chomping at the bit, we're going to jump right into it, is Florida State, LSU, neutral site. What are your thoughts on that game as we're still just a little bit out from it, but at least it's on the horizon?
Yeah, so that's, in my opinion, bottom line, 2 playoff teams at the end of the season, regardless of whether who wins it or loses it. I think it's easier for LSU if they win it. It's more of a must-win, I think, for LSU, right, considering they're in the SEC, and everybody knows specifically the SEC West. With the games they got to play A&M, Alabama, Auburn, all those good teams, right? Florida State basically just has Clemson. I see LSU winning that one in a close one. Both teams have elite quarterbacks that are returning, Jaden Daniels and Jordan Travis. I think both are Heisman potential. Travis seems to be getting a little more talk right now about it. But Jaden Daniels, if you look at him from game 1 last year all the way to the last game, he really, really improved incrementally more than anybody I've seen. And it kind of started with that Alabama game, which mostly everybody saw, right, where he led the team in overtime and they ended up winning that one. But I think it's going to be a close game. I think the reason that LSU pulls it out is just motivation from last year, quite simply. And you can say that's silly and it's not stats and paper or whatever, but I think there's something to be said for the motivation they have, considering how poorly they played last year and how close it still was. But again, I do think on the back end, both teams do rematch. Florida State ends up winning out after that, and both teams end up as the 2 and 3 seeds in the college football playoffs.
A lot to dissect there because I want to jump back and kind of come back on a couple things. What's interesting is I could both completely agree with you on one hand. If LSU gets off to an 0-1 start, the college football playoff is so much about narrative, much like the Heisman, and it's so hard to overcome a bad narrative or to rewrite your narrative mid-season. So if you get off to that first loss, tough for LSU. At the same time, they have plenty of teams on their schedule where if they get the win, they can impress voters. Florida State, to your point, the ACC is weak. It is just weak. So if they don't make the most of this game against LSU, could they make any game valuable enough in their performance or in that opposing team's record in order to vault themselves back into the conversation? So I would argue the game's more important to Florida State because they don't have that many opportunities to woo everybody. I get your point that they'll win out or should win out after that. But as always, is a 2-win Alabama team sexier to the college football playoff committee than a 1-loss Florida State team? Maybe not this year, but I always feel like that's the risk.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good thing we're going to 12 teams, right? So
exactly.
We don't have this conversation moving forward. But this year, you're right. It most likely will happen. And that's the question is, and I think if Florida State ends up winning the ACC with 1 loss, and we agree, the conference is weak, they end up winning the ACC with 1 loss. I think the marquee win that's obvious to be the most marquee is Clemson. Now, also, like, you don't know, to your point, how good Clemson will be doing. Will Clemson be a 3-loss team, right?
Right.
And that way, like, it's not as valid or valuable. However, at the end of the day, ACC is a Power 5, and if you're the Power 5 conference champion with 1 loss and you're the ACC, how do you get left out, right? Even if it's a 2-loss LSU team or something like that.
Don't get used to saying Power 5 too much longer because much like the college football expansion, a lot of things are going to be changing on the college football landscape over the coming years. Another thing I wanted to touch on with our SEC college football analyst, Pigskin Petey. Again, you can find him on Twitter X at Pigskin Petey. That's PIGSKINPETEY, Pigskin Petey. And Jaden Daniels of the LSU Tigers, is he right now the best candidate in the SEC to win the Heisman?
Ooh, that's a good question. In my mind, yes. In a lot of minds, no. Um, I'm looking at the list of potentials here right now. Um, I, I gotta say yes. Nobody really sticks out to me. Quinshon Judkins at Ole Miss has gotten a lot of talk. Rocket Sanders or Raheem Sanders, running back at Arkansas, has gotten talk. KJ Jefferson, Arkansas's quarterback, has gotten some talk. A guy to watch out for is Connor Wegman, the Texas A&M quarterback. Wegman last year came in and he started in the back end. Like he wasn't even a starter. I think he started the year third string. They had Haynes King and then Max Johnson, who's actually Brad Johnson's son.
No way.
Former Vikings
Yeah,
QB,
of course. Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback, Vikings quarterback, sure.
Yep. So Johnson started his career at LSU, funny enough, and transferred to A&M. So anyways, that's Wegman's competition right now, but Wegman actually kind of took over the job from him in the later half of the year last year and did very well. He threw in 4 starts, I think it was 4 starts, 896 yards and 8 touchdowns with no interceptions. So dark horse wise, I would look out for a guy like Connor Wegman, but you really, it's so unpredictable. Tennessee fans are going to holler Joe Milton's name all day long. Right? At the end of the day, Joe Milton's been a starter twice at 2 different schools, have been benched twice. So that Joe Milton could be a really hot and cold topic. That's a whole topic because that could go one of 2 ways. But anyways, yeah.
Is Georgia going to be stopped by anybody in the SEC this year, or can I write their name in pen into the college football playoff?
Well, if you look at one of my tweets, I said I predicted Georgia to go 10-2 this year. So yes, they can be stopped. The other half of that was it's going to be Tennessee in Tennessee. My prediction for that game is you saw the atmosphere last year against Alabama and Tennessee. Right?
Maybe my favorite atmosphere of the entire 2022 season.
Man, it makes you want to go to a game in Knoxville, you know?
It makes you want to sing Rocky Top, and no, I don't really care for Tennessee.
Yeah. That's right. So I think like that atmosphere, assuming it's a night game. Now you have to look at the time of the year, right? Even if it's the typical CBS 3:30, it's in I think late October. So by halftime, even if it's a 3:30 and not a night game, it's going to be dark. So I think that's a game that I would look for Georgia to stumble, and it's not because of the talent. It's A, the atmosphere, and B, Georgia's bringing in a new starting quarterback in Carson Beck. He's been there 4 years. He was a 4-star recruit coming in. He's highly touted, unlike Stetson Bennett was not. But I do think that Carson Beck has never been in an atmosphere like that, right? And there's all this talk from Georgia fans about, well, he'll be a veteran by that point. And that's all true. He absolutely will be. However, as a starting quarterback in the SEC, he will have not faced an environment like that. And Georgia as a whole, for that team, for that season, will be kind of lulled into a sense of security with their tougher games, if you want to call them tougher, Ole Miss and Kentucky being at home, and all of their other games being at home that are tougher as well, right? So they're kind of going to get comfortable and then have to go to that atmosphere in Knoxville and say, oh, shoot, now we have to play. The other loss, I think, comes now Tennessee, I think, because of Joe Milton, I'm not sold on him. I think they finish 8-4. So I don't think they ultimately take over Georgia and get that spot in the SEC East for the title game. But I do think Georgia still goes to it despite the loss to Tennessee. And I think they lose to Alabama in that game and miss out on the playoffs.
Oh, wow. What a prediction by Pigskin Petey. He is putting it out there right now. Okay. That kind of answers one of my questions, which was, do you think Alabama can get past LSU in the West?
Right, and that's the topic. Then that's the great debate. I just told you that LSU is going to make the playoffs, but both play in the West, right? Bama's only loss will be to Texas A&M, I believe, in College Station. We saw A&M barely beat them last year, or barely lose to them last year, in Alabama. And that was actually, if you remember that, not to get off topic, but that was Wegman's first start. And he brought them within a whisker. They were on the 3-yard line, one play away from winning that game. And that's when Jimbo said, I'm sticking with this guy. So, anyways, I think they get past LSU. Yes, that game's in Tuscaloosa. Case in point, that's why it's imperative for LSU to beat Florida State. So when they lose that game to Bama,
now I see it. Yep.
And this is just scenario, right? But then you're looking at, okay, if you're the committee and these things happen, LSU's only losses to Bama. Bama's only losses to A&M. Bama ends up winning the West because A&M, I predict they have 2 losses.
And LSU's going to put a hurting on some teams. You know some of their wins are going to be very impressive in terms of final score.
That's right. So, yeah, and I think A&M's going to finish with 2 losses, right? And one of those games you're talking about happens on Thanksgiving weekend. They host A&M, who they lost to last year, and A&M, I think, is going to have a very good season. They're going to put a hurting on them, to your point, and that's going to help them. But then the debate becomes, okay, do we put a 2-loss Georgia team in that made the SEC championship, or a 1-loss LSU?
I always feel like there's a bit of bias towards a team that was good the previous year. I always think there's kind of a residue from it's almost like if you watch Survivor on TV and it's like the person who was, immune last week, they get a somehow carryover in that no one's thinking about them. They're off people's minds. In this case, it's the reverse in that I think people will go, well, we have to have Kirby Smart there. We have to have Georgia there. And it's like, why? Who said? If they're not one of the best teams, and I think LSU, from a roster standpoint, could be as good as anybody in the country.
Repeat, right? That's the thing everybody's got. That's what I feel like if this scenario happens, the worst case, like just that 3-peat, people want to see it and all that.
And that is why I'm glad we're expanding to the 12 team. Not so much because I really don't want the 12 team personally, because I think the meat grinder of college football and what it does to kids is brutal, and I don't think we've thought about that at all. At the same time, I am a consumer of college football, and I freaking love it. So I want to see the best teams play. I don't just want to see the best narratives come to fruition. I actually think that oftentimes we do that, and it's why the college football playoffs are so boring. Like, they produce a good game once every, 5th game? I'm not really impressed by it overall. I do just have one more question for you, Pigskin Petey, before we let you go. And this one, I'm assuming I know where it's going to come, where you're going to come out, but I'm just a little bit curious. Is the SEC the best college football conference in the country, or is it the Big Ten?
Thank you for this question. Right now, it's the SEC. And if you look at just the recruitment rankings, to give a microcosm example, look at the 2024 recruitment rankings right now, or the 2023. 8 out of the top 9 are all SEC commits, signees if it's 2023. Now, there's a disclaimer on that, and I think this has been altered somewhat within the last week when the Big 12 took on half the Pac-12.
Yeah, right.
However, you have Luke Fickell, year 1, Wisconsin, in the Big Ten. So let's go previous to this year. What elite coaches can you say that were in place and had their systems installed? Jim Harbaugh and arguably Ryan Day. That's a debate because who knows if he's going to be able to.
I don't know if you're a James Franklin guy. Personally, I'm not big on him, but he's, people at Penn State are always telling me that, like, he is something.
That's the third one, right? And I do disagree, is that he is, if you can win at Vandy, you can win. And he's proven it at Penn State. Now, they bring in now Luke Fickell in year 1. Brett Bielema, if anybody remembers the great Wisconsin teams he had in the past, he produced with Monte Ball.
That's right. Power running games.
Yeah, all those guys. And now you got coming in next year USC's head coach, Lincoln Riley.
It's going to change the Big Ten with what Lincoln Riley from an offensive standpoint, because you have Wisconsin's like power back system and the offensive lineman of Wisconsin going up against the speed, the glamour, whoever the quarterback is at USC. He's going to be a Heisman candidate and big air offense. It's going to be fantastic for the Big Ten.
And you got Chip Kelly, who's another one, right? And you look, that's fascinating too. You look at what the third string guy for the Browns is, the DTR.
Dorian Thompson-Robinson, yep.
He was a Kelly guy for 5 years at UCLA. Good on him for staying. But anyways, He's coming in. You're elevating your coaching. Brett Bielema, year 3 now at Illinois. Illinois, until 3/4 of the season last year, was a player. Tom Allen at Indiana's no joke. I actually looked for that.
I went to Indiana University, and I am not going to say anything positive about my school's football team. I appreciate you trying, but we make Vanderbilt look pulled together.
Hey, man, I think you beat Ohio State week 1 this year. I'm calling it.
Oh, we have the shock of shocks. Pigskin Petey, you don't need to let it all hang out on the first show you come on. You already gave us a crazy scenario in the SEC with LSU sneaking past into the playoff despite not playing in the SEC championship game. Now you're calling an Ohio State Buckeyes upset to Indiana University. Sir, I will play that out with you. If you want dinner, whatever the odds you want, just give them out, because I don't trust my Hoosiers as far as I can throw them.
Hey, man, it's a first game starting quarterback for Ohio State. Now it will be for Indiana too, because I think you got that Tennessee.
If
transfer.
Penix Jr. was still at IU, I'd feel differently, but he is long gone.
Yep. It's first week, right? It's the NFL's like that too. I feel like you watch NFL games and they're the worst ones of the year first week. They're just getting the kinks out.
Oh, you're totally right. And it's just learning systems. It's learning signal calling. It's learning communication. Who still needs to be on the field and who doesn't. Obviously, things will ratchet up as we get ready for college football. We're in week 0 or 1, depending on how you see things. But week 1, the official week 1 next week is going to be really exciting. Want to give a big shout out to our SEC analyst and college football analyst, Pigskin Petey. You can find him on Twitter at Pigskin Petey. Really appreciate you joining us. Can't wait to talk again soon.
Thanks, man. Talk to you guys later.
That was our college football analyst, our SEC analyst. Hope you guys enjoyed that conversation. I think he's crazy to think that Ohio State's going to lose week 1 to Indiana. I'll make that bet with anybody. And I'm a Hoosier. I went to IU, and I wouldn't take that bet for anything. Speaking of bets, hope you guys have been enjoying the show. Want to give a big shout out to our sponsor, Sharps. Make sure you follow all of my plays on the Sharps app. If you guys want to get hooked up with a referral code for that, BUTT 300. But 300. BUTT 300 is our referral code. You can hit us up. We'll send you a link. You can download that app. You can tail all of my plays. Check them out. We'll put out some content on there as well. Really excited to have them as a sponsor of the show. Any of the picks that I don't give out during the show, that's where you can find them on Sharps. But as another one of our Sharps plays of the day, I do want to do our reverse engineering on a few walks plays, but we are getting ready to do a fantasy football mock draft. If you guys want to participate, not too many people in it just yet. If you're watching on YouTube, Twitch, or Kick, there should be a link pinned to the stream so you can participate. We will be doing a mock draft. It is a 10-team PPR snake mock draft. We are going to do that in about 10 minutes, everybody. So if you want to participate in that mock draft, make sure you DM us on Instagram or hit that link that's pinned in YouTube, Twitch, or Kick. Let's do some reverse engineering, everybody, on some of the walks plays that we like today. Again, this is going to be one of our Sharps plays of the day, looking at these player prop bets. Going on the over side, going towards walks allowed, pump up the volume on the implied probability. Clayton Kershaw over half a walk, really strong play despite the very chalky nature of it. I would say put this one in a leg of a parlay, but I would take Clayton Kershaw over half a walk. Just leg of a parlay it, everybody. Leg of a parlay it. Let's continue to do this Sharps play of the day, looking at players to take on a walk. Chris Sale hasn't been a very good trend. Not going to touch it, though I do think that one probably cashes. Charlie Morton, this has been a good trend of late. Problem is the line is set at 2.5. Let's just look at how it's doing at home. Not a great trend. Not going to take that one. Let's keep going. Dean Kramer against the Blue Jays. A lot of green up on your screen. Let's get Dean Kramer. Over 1.5 walks allowed. By the way, I believe he's not going to show up here because the game isn't being shown up here, but I believe it's a Reed Walk-Detmers day, everybody. I think Reed Walk-Detmers is pitching today, so definitely someone you want to check out. Urquidia, that's been a pretty good trend of late. How about at home? Not great. Once we look at it from the home side. Kevin Gosman, this has been a good trend. How about on the road? Not actually a good trend. Surprising, Gosman on the road has been better on the walks. Austin Gomber, good trend of late. How about on the road? No. So those are our only two. Those are going to be two of our Sharps' favorite plays of the day. 2 walks plays. Clayton Kershaw over half a walk and Dean Kramer over 1.5 walks. Shohei Ohtani is starting in that second game. He was starting in the first game, and I believe they pulled him for arm fatigue. But if he's playing in game 2, he is a beast. If you guys want to participate in the fantasy football mock draft that we are going to do in just a couple of minutes, make sure that you DM us on Instagram. That's Fumble Sports on Instagram. That way you guys can participate in the mock draft. We're going to do that at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you guys want to participate, all you have to do is DM us, Fumble Sports on Instagram. I'll share the link with you guys. You guys can participate. Again, right now I have it set up as a 10-team PPR draft. I believe it's 10-team snake PPR draft. We have a lot of empty spots, so if you guys want to participate, just jump on in. Have that mock draft ready to go in just a few minutes. I do have some more picks that I want to give out. Again, any of the picks that I don't give out will be up on Sharps, so you can find all of my plays on Sharps. That's the place you can find them if we don't give them out during the show. Let me give out a few more, though. I do like the Mets to cover tonight. I'll take the Mets plus 1.5. I will also take the Mets and the Braves. I'll take the over 8.5 on that game as well. I also took the Blue Jays on the money line. I took the Blue Jays and Orioles at 7.5. Over 7.5 there for the Blue Jays and the Orioles. So a few more plays to get you guys enticed for the action tonight. Hope you guys are enjoying the show. Do I think JT gets traded to the Miami Dolphins? I think it's a very high possibility right now because I think the Dolphins understand that their window of opportunity isn't as wide open as people think it is. Tyreek Hill's a little bit older. Tua Tagovailoa's health is questionable. There's a lot of pieces about this team that don't look like they have sustainability over years. So I think the Miami Dolphins are actually a bit more like the Jets and the Bills. One of the reasons I think the AFC East is going to be so entertaining this year is because there's urgency with all 4 teams. I think Tua's health brings urgency to the Dolphins. Obviously, there's urgency in Buffalo with what's going on with Diggs and this idea of Buffalo finally wants to win a title. The Jets have urgency because of Aaron Rodgers and Bill Belichick being on, I don't want to say a hot seat because he's not, but a warming seat. That is a sign of some urgency in New England like we haven't seen since, 2001, 2002? So it's been a long time. If you guys want to participate in our fantasy football mock draft, we're going to do that in just a few minutes. So just DM us on Instagram, or if you're watching on YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, or Kick, all you have to do is hit the pin link that's up in the stream, and you can join in on that mock draft. If you guys want more of my picks, all you have to do is share the channel, hit that share button. We'll put more of my picks up on the screen for you guys. Appreciate all of you guys being with us. This has been a very fast hour. We have a mock draft still to go. Again, if you missed any of our picks, if there are a lot of picks we didn't give out today, if there are any picks that we didn't give out, you can find them on Sharps, the Sharps app. Link your DFS or your sportsbook platform. Share bets, track bets, tail bets. You can see all the plays that I like. I'm going to put up some more exclusive parlays. Some parlays that I like tonight. I'm going to put those up on Sharps. If you guys want to be able to tail me, if you want to see the plays that I'm putting up, make sure that you hit me up and get the link to the app. We are going to do our mock draft for our fantasy football mock draft in just a couple of minutes. IP Shade 45 has jumped in. We are treating this as a 10-team PPR snake draft. If you guys want to get in on the mock draft, you guys know what to do. Just DM us on Instagram only a couple minutes before we play that mock draft or participate in that mock draft. Charlie, you want the link to Sharps? Just DM us on Instagram. Butt Fumble Sports on Instagram, Charlie. That's Butt Fumble Sports on Instagram. I'll share that link with you, and that way you can tail. By the way, if you want to do the mock draft, same thing. Just go to Instagram, Butt Fumble Sports. DM us, Butt Fumble Sports on Instagram. We'll share those links with you, Charlie. But we're going to do this mock draft in about 2 minutes, everybody. 2 minutes until our mock draft. We're going to do a 10-team PPR snake draft. If you want to participate, just DM us on Instagram, Butt Fumble Sports on Instagram. We'll share the link. Egg's got a 12-team PPR this Saturday. Let's go, Egg. I'm excited for you to cash in on all of the hard work that you've been doing preparing with these mock drafts. If you guys need help with your fantasy football teams, we're here to help you guys out. Definitely here to give out research, advice, who to start, who to go after, who to target, what positions are valued, and which ones to avoid. Who wins this trade? Judy and Montgomery or Mixon and Dotson? It's Mixon and Dotson, and it's not close. Mixon and Dotson is the winner. Okay, final few minutes to get in on this fantasy football mock draft, everybody. If you want to participate in this fantasy football mock draft, make sure you get in. Charlie, so appreciate you hitting me up. I'm going to share that link with you right now so you can join the app Sharps. I have to admit, we have had a lot of companies come to us and say, we want to be sponsors of the show. We want to sponsor the content of Butt Fumble Sports. We have not given the opportunity. We haven't given the opportunity to almost anybody, very few. This is one that we really like. Sharps, you can follow all of my plays there. It's like Facebook for sports bettors, and that way we can participate, we can comment on each other, all of that. IP Shade 45, I love the idea. Love the idea. Okay, everybody. We have to say thank you to Sharps for the show, sponsoring our show. You can follow all of my plays on Sharps, the Sharps app. We will have some exclusive plays up there. You can follow all of them up on the Sharps app. Additionally, I will be throwing up some exclusive parlays after the show. That said, it is now time to switch on over to our fantasy football mock draft. We are going to do a 10-team PPR mock draft. It's going to be a snake draft, everybody. So if you guys want to participate, final call. Last call, everybody. Last call at the bar. If you guys want to get in on this fantasy football mock draft, make sure that you DM us on Instagram right now. Final minute to get in it. Final minute to get in it, everybody. While we wait, Henry asks, should I trade DK, Ramondre, and Deontay for Devontae, Johnston, and Montgomery? No, I actually think what you have right now is better. I like DK, Ramondre, and Deontay Johnson more. Okay, so we are going to have 4 human participants. We're going to have some auto-drafting teams in this one. Charlie, have a great night. We're going to get into our mock draft right now, so I hope everybody is with us. Hope you guys are going to participate, or if you're watching, I hope you're learning a lot, asking questions. We're here to help you guys out, prepare for your fantasy football drafts. Okay, we're going to randomize the draft order right now. Again, a snake PPR 10-team draft. We're going to randomize the draft order. Beep, boop, 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 boop. And we will get underway with our mock draft. Is everybody ready? Is everybody set? You guys ready to go? Let's get it started, everybody. Mock draft time. So we have some auto drafting teams, so things should go pretty fast tonight. How will Jonathan Taylor be this season? I don't really trust him. Even if he goes to a different place, I don't think he's going to put up massive production. So, Run on wide receiver to start. Not surprised as we're in a PPR league. So notice the PPR factor with wide receivers coming off the board, then the running backs that you'd expect. Kelsey comes off the board. Now it's my turn. I'm looking towards the wide receivers, looking towards the running backs. I'll take Nick Chubb. I certainly like that. I'm going to stick with a wide receiver now. I'll go with A.J. Brown. You guys know how I feel about him. So, taking Chubb and Brown. Team 8, loading up on that Kansas City connection. Team 9 went doubled up on receivers. In a PPR draft, not surprised by that. If you guys have fantasy football questions, don't hesitate to fire away. Bobby Jr. went with 2 wide receivers like his 2. IP Shade 45 off to a strong start with Bijan and Garrett Wilson. Chase and Adams, Kupp and Pollard. These are good pairings so far. Elliott Robinson now on the clock with Christian McCaffrey already in hand. If you guys need help with your fantasy football drafts, just hit us up. We're happy to give out any information or help out with any tips that we possibly can. MVP Metcalf, what did you just hear? Okay, run on quarterback, everybody. Notice the run on quarterback to start round 3. IP Shade 45 next on the clock. Darren Waller is not a top 3 tight end. That is he has the potential to be if he played a full season, but I don't think he's going to stay healthy enough. So I don't think he stays healthy enough. He would be if he could play all 17 games, but he won't. Olave and Waddle go in the 3rd round. We were talking last night on one of our sessions on TikTok Live about where would Chris Olave go. Notice that he went in round 3 to IP Shade 45. I can believe that he's better than Kittle as a receiver, not as a blocker. That would be crazy. Okay, time for Butt Fumble Sports to pick. I'm going back to the wide receiver Calvin Ridley, taking him off the board in a PPR like that. I'll also take Travis Etienne. So I've got my 2 running backs. I've got my 2 wide receivers in this PPR league, like Chubb, like Etienne, like where I am. I think in a 10-man league, being 10 and then having that back-to-back pick, I actually think it's a really advantageous spot. 10-man leagues are just simply easier. When you're dealing with like a 14-man league, doing a 10-team mock draft is like, oh, this is so easy. It's vacation, baby. Should I trade Gibbs and McLaurin for Ridley and Jones? Ooh, that's a good one. I actually think I might. I actually think it's a good trade, believe it or not. I normally would say don't trade Jahmyr Gibbs, but I think it's a good trade. Not crazy about it, but it's interesting. Good call. Hawkinson finally comes off the board. By the way, who are my top 3 tight ends? Kelsey, Andrews, Hawkinson. Let the mock draft be the guide. Elliott Robinson has 2 running backs, has 1 quarterback. You would think he'd go wide receiver. Not getting a wide receiver in a PPR league until the 4th round. Probably not what you want. Elliott Robinson clearly didn't get in on the mock draft. Missed and got another running back. Wide receiver, you're going to see in a PPR league, there are going to be some rounds that are really wide receiver heavy. I think Hawkinson, even with back issues, hey, Darren Waller has a lot of issues. He's got a lot of health issues in his past. So for a number of reasons, I would say Hawkinson. So another quarterback goes. Breece Hall just went. Looking at running backs, looking at wide receivers, not crazy about either. At the quarterback position, Justin Fields. I'm not as high on Justin Fields as other people are. I do need to get a quarterback with one of these picks. Funny enough, Darren Waller's on the board. I'm running out of time. I need to make a move. I'll go running back, and I'll take J.K. Dobbins. I want to get that 3rd running back for depth. Then for quarterback, man, I really want to take Trevor Lawrence. But I'll take Justin Fields. He is the best quarterback on the board, so I'm going to take him. MVP Metcalf. I have Jefferson, Hawkinson, guaranteed points every time they throw the ball. Abso-frickin-lutely. Vikings passing game is definitely something worth investing in and betting on. Teammate went with Drake London. Teammate has drafted 4 wide receivers in a row. In a PPR league, I get it, but you do need some running backs eventually, don't you? Waller goes to Bobby Jr., so Darren Waller does come off the board. We've had a mixture of tight ends, running backs, wide receivers, and quarterbacks go in this round so far. Hope you guys are enjoying our mock draft, learning a little bit about how to prepare for your fantasy draft. B-Rhett, what's up? Why Dobbins when could have gotten Akers or Connor? I just like the Ravens offense overall, and I think J.K. Dobbins could actually have a bit of a breakout year. I know there's a lot of mouths to feed, but I actually like him a little bit more. Trevor Lawrence finally comes off the board in round 7. Akers follows him. Goddard next. Mike Williams after him. Bobby Jr. now on the clock. Making our way through this 10-team PPR snake mock draft. Hopefully you guys are learning a lot and preparing for your own fantasy football drafts. Bobby Jr. time up and took Godwin. So, Butt Fumble Sports back on the clock. I already have 3 running backs. I'm going to get a 4th. It's going to be Pacheco, just as a draft and stash. I do like him a lot, especially in a PPR. But I also do need to get a wide receiver. I'm not going to tight end just yet, unless there's no one actually at the wide receiver position that I'm crazy about. Fine, I'll take him. I'll go Evan Ingram. Good tight end to take. I'll probably double up on that position within the next couple of rounds. If you guys have fantasy football questions of your own, feel free to fire away while I'm waiting for the round to go. Too many Jags, bro. By the way, you're absolutely right. I forgot about that. I have Ridley and ETN. You're absolutely right. So in this mock draft, that's a great call. I'm actually making a mistake. B-Rhett is absolutely right. B-Rhett is absolutely right. I totally forgot about earlier in my own draft. I'm kind of scatterbrained here doing other things. But B-Rhett is absolutely right. I'm overloaded on the Jaguars. That is a mistake. I probably should have gone with David Njoku with that tight end draft. Or I should have gone earlier, funny enough, to Waller. Who's going to be the lead back in the Chicago backfield? Seems like a mess. It really is. I mean, who's the lead back? It's Justin Fields, even at quarterback. But I would say that it's probably going to be Khalil Herbert. Hey, Jonesy, you're totally right. I should have just gone Trevor Lawrence. I was even thinking about him. I should have just become the Jacksonville Jaguars. I would literally put up a picture of Ahmad Khan with that mustache.
Come on.
If you guys have fantasy football questions of your own, feel free to fire away. I'm just going to tell you to pick more Jacksonville Jaguars, apparently. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Wednesday wherever you are. It has been a great day. I'm not going to lie. I had a wonderful day. Got some clothes, going on a trip. We got a great new sponsor for the show. Having a fun mock draft. Getting all the Jacksonville Jaguars my heart could possibly want. It's been a wonderful Wednesday. I hope it has been for you as well. Some wide receivers going here in round 9. Jackson Smith-Njigba, Johnson, Addison, Evans. When it comes to a wide receiver, you guys know I'm looking. I like Tony. I would double up there. I like Quentin Johnston too. I'll take Quentin Johnston. He's not a Jacksonville Jaguar, but still worth it. I still also have my other pick. I'm going to double up on the tight end position, and I'll get Dalton Kincaid. I'm really big on him. So having 2 tight ends, I think it's very valuable. I think, baby, if you don't have a Kelsey, a Mark Andrews, one of the top Hawkinson, one of the top maybe 3-4 tight ends, I think it's valuable to actually have 2 and just interchange them. How are we feeling about Ronald Acuna Jr. under 2.5 hits, runs, RBIs? I actually think that's a decent play. I was looking at those stats earlier, and I didn't like him on any of the overs, which tells me the under 2.5 might be a good play, Drew. Making our way through our mock draft today takes everything we've got. And we are making our way through round 11 right now. Round 11 of our mock draft. 10-team PPR snake mock draft. If you have questions about anything going on in the world of sports, whether it's fantasy football or anything else, we're here for it. We are going through our mock draft and just ripping about sports for a little bit. Don't sleep on Mostert too late. B-Ret, that's an interesting call. Good note for everyone out there. B-Ret has been a part of a couple of our conversations on live. Okay, I have 3 wide receivers. I need a 4th. Sky Moore interests me. Rashee Rice interests me. But I'm actually going to take Elijah Moore. I think this is a good spot to take him. In round 11, I do think there's value there. Now, final 4 picks of the draft, final 4 rounds to go. I've already got most of the picks I want. I'll get another quarterback. I'm right at the point. I'll get the number 1 defense I want. I'm going to get the Eagles defense just because I feel like it's probably a round too early there. But I feel like doing the snake, going as long as I do on defense, would just be a long time to wait. So I like my team. I'm willing to take a defense maybe a round earlier than I should. Given that, I'll probably go with another player in that next pick, and then I'll go on the back end with a kicker. Hey, I have to go, Otto. Yeah, do your thing, Elliot. Really appreciate it. Appreciate all of you guys who have been with us throughout the show. All of you guys are outstanding members of this great community. IP Shade 45 doubled up on defenses. I know there's a lot of controversy about that. I'll go with Sky Moore, and I'm going to take a kicker. I'll take Evan McPherson. So that just leaves me with 1 pick left, going through our final 2 rounds of our mock draft. Fortunately for our producer, our mock draft only took about 15 minutes today. So you can see your family, okay? You can see Tiny Tim, okay? How important is it to handcuff Zeke with Ramondre? Not critically important, because even if Ramondre went down, I don't think Zeke would all of a sudden get massive numbers. I think it's a nice thing to do, but I don't think it's as essential as some actual other pairings. Defenses going late, kickers going as well. Making our way through the final round of our mock draft. Bobby Jr. giving that love to Tom Brady. I think I'll take another defense. I'll take the Packers defense and just have 2. So just looking at some of these picks, Team 1, Jefferson, Henry, Hurts, and Aaron Jones, Kittle. Good starting lineup overall, but waited too long to get a second wide receiver in a PPR league. Elliott Robinson was kind of in and out on the mocks. Just waited way too long to get wide receivers and then took a ton hoping he'd find one. Don't like the strategy overall, but he was in auto draft, so no thing. Team 3, like where he started. This is a good team. Trevor Lawrence where he did in round 7, not bad. Overall, pretty solid team, probably a BB+. Team 4, like what I'm seeing from Team 4 in a PPR league. You can't go wrong drafting this many good, talented receivers. Maybe waited a touch too long to attack the running back position, but overall not too bad. Probably this is the spot. Could have gotten Aaron Jones, Mixon. Should have done something here. Maybe should have waited to get a 3rd wide receiver. Shade 45. Love the team that he built early on. Dameon Pierce as a 3rd running back is a good pick. Sleeper right there. Doubled up on tight end. Doubled up on defense. We know how IP Shade 45 does. Team 6, really strong. Love the team from the start. Eckler, Barkley, Waddle, Lamar Jackson, McLaurin, Watson, Mike Williams, and Dalvin Cook. Team 6 had an outstanding draft, plus Anthony Richardson as the backup and Justin Tucker as the kicker. Really strong team, Team 6. Bobby Jr. putting him under the clock and seeing how he did. Tyreek Hill, Amon-Ra St. Brown, do like that 1-2 punch. Went to 2 running backs next. Jonathan Taylor, where does he end up? That's a bit of a risky pick, but could end up paying off if he goes to the right situation. Overall, I just love this starting lineup. This is a really solid starting lineup by Bobby Jr. Did a nice job building a really strong team. Team 8, really good, just waited a bit too long on the running backs. Connor and Rashad White, you don't have a true RB1 in that group, not getting enough production out of the running back position. Team 9, decent starting lineup, love the wide receivers, like the running backs, like the quarterback. I think you might have waited a touch too long on the tight end, but overall, Team 9 is probably the second best starting lineup behind Bobby Jr., I would think, overall. Team 6 is pretty strong as well. Those are probably my top 3 teams right now. Finally, Fumble Sports. I love the team, but as was pointed out, I was too heavy on the Jacksonville Jaguars. I should have diversified the number of teams. That's my mistake. Did a bad job in my draft. Love the talent, but too many Jaguars. Anyway, that is our mock draft for today, Wednesday, August 23rd. Appreciate all of you guys being with us. Fumble Sports is live every weekday at 5 p.m. Eastern. So if you love our content, if you love us giving out picks, doing mock drafts, talking fantasy football, you can find us every day at 5 p.m. Eastern time on the weekdays. On the weekends, we'll be live at 11 a.m. every weekend. So with that said, I want to give a big shout out to our sponsor, Sharps. As I've been mentioning, you guys can go on to Sharps and tail all of my bets. We have exclusive plays up there. Follow all of my plays on the Sharps app. If you guys want to be able to tail all of my plays, just DM us. Hit us up on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, Kick, or Instagram. I will share a link and a referral code. That way you guys can join the Sharps community. Love what I've been able to do over the last 24 hours with Sharps. Really excited about the football season ahead. That is our show for today. Appreciate all of you guys being with us. I hope you guys stay healthy. I hope you stay safe. I hope you have a wonderful afternoon and evening. I will probably be back on tonight like I have been for the past few, just to jump on TikTok live. So make sure you guys are following me. That way you can find me when I come on live later tonight. Until then, hope you have a great night.